So over the weekend, we didn't cover this yesterday, but Lubbock City Council campaign news. Charlie Dunn, who was he had filed to run for mayor in Lubbock, and remember, he's the one who lost the bid for Lubbock County Democratic chair. He lost that race, and he had decided, okay, I'm going to run for mayor, and he dropped out over the weekend. He withdrew from the race over the weekend. Said, no, never mind, I don't want to run for mayor. And you know, people are talking different reasons why. It doesn't really matter. But he's not running for mayor. And I was thinking about this over the weekend and yesterday some, how no one really wants to run for the Lubbock City Council anymore. You look at the different races. You've got a race for mayor. And as of right now, and how I assume it'll remain, Dan Pope is going to not have a challenger. Now, again, I think this Friday is the filing deadline. So someone else could pop up and run for mayor if they want to, but as of right now, no one wants to do that. Randy Christian is running in District 5, which in the past has been one of the more politically active areas of Lubbock, and they've got one person running. I've been a little bit surprised about that no one else has popped up wanting to run for that seat. And, you know, that's not a slam against Randy Christian or anything, but you know, you would think that one of the more politically active, at least in the past, politically active areas, you've only got one person running for Lubbock City Council. Councilman Jeff Griffith, as of right now, he doesn't face a challenger. And District 1 is the only one where you have a competitive or semi-competitive race, and you've got two people running in that, Juan Chavez and Nicholas Munoz, who is running. And it brings to mind this idea that there's a lot of apathy. A couple of things here. There's a lot of apathy as far as the Lubbock City Council goes. There are a lot of people who are disappointed, but they just, they don't want to run. They don't want to run. They don't want to deal with it. It's a headache. It's a pain in the butt. You have to deal with people like me getting upset with you. And so it's worrisome, really, that you don't have people who are engaged and who want to run for office here locally. And especially you don't have more, big-time conservatives who are wanting to run for office. And maybe it's just one of those deals where it's not a full-time paying job. It's $25 a month. Maybe that ties into it. But I also think there's just a lot of people who just don't care anymore. They don't want to run for Lubbock City Council. They don't want to pay attention to what the Lubbock City Council is doing. And that in the future can lead to, and even in the near future, I think could lead to some very bad consequences. You have to remember this. Growing cities become more liberal. And Lubbock is definitely growing. I think those of you who have been in Lubbock for a long time, I've been here since 2001. And I can tell you just since 2001, Lubbock is less conservative than it was in 2001. Jody, would you say that's true? Probably a lot less conservative. You grew up in this area. And so Lubbock, a lot less conservative. And as the city continues to grow, I think that's going to continue. And the problem we're going to run into is that in the future, and you can see a lot of Democrats who decide, you know what? No one else is going to run. Let's take the city council. Conservatives, Republicans are concerned about other things. They've got jobs. They're busy. They're running businesses, whatever it may be. They're focused on county issues. They're focused on state issues, whatever it may be. And then that's when you get a lot of big government liberals who decide, well, we'll just run. And one of the more dangerous things is that you'll have liberals who run as Republicans. We see that on the statewide level. I think we've seen it on a city, local level as well, county level, where you have Republicans who are moderates, really Democrats, who don't want to run as Democrats because they know they can't win. And so they run as, moderate Republican or reasonable Republican or, whatever term you want to use in front of Republican. And they say one or two things the right way to make them sound like they're Republican enough. But then when they get voted in office, they vote for everything that can be and will be liberal. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that on the citywide level. I think we've already seen that to a point. For past councils, I think we've seen that. But I think it's going to get even more pronounced as we move forward if Republicans and conservatives stop stepping up. And when you look at your typical Republican areas of Lubbock, and there are more Republican areas of Lubbock, and there are some more Democrat areas of Lubbock, the fact that you don't have a lot of Republicans running or a lot of interest there, it's something that does concern me, and I think should concern voters as we move forward. And I'm not saying anything against those who are running right now or seeking reelection. It's not anything on them. But it's a little disheartening, really, to see that people just don't want to run for local office. Unless it's the county level. Then you got a lot of people who want to run for that because it pays good. I'm not saying that's the only reason why people are running for that, Jody. But if you were considering running for an office in Lubbock and you want to make some money and you want to be largely ignored by the news media in Lubbock, you run for county commissioner. You run for county commissioner. You run for county judge. You're going to be largely ignored by the media and you're going to get paid. You run for the Lubbock City Council, you're not going to be ignored by anybody. Well, at least media-wise. You're not going to be ignored. And you're going to have to deal with LP&L's mess. Maybe that's it, too. People don't want to run for city council because they're going to be left with they're going to be left with that little gift of LP&L joining ERCOT and that whole 70-30 split that we're going to see. Maybe that's why no one wants to run. It's like it's one of those. Hey, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this car. Yeah, but it's broken down and it's going to cost me a lot more money. I don't want that. No, thank you. Maybe that's how some people are viewing the city council right now. I don't want that. Because if you run right now, yeah, you're going to be around for that big flip, and you're going to get blamed for it. You're going to get blamed for the future arena that's going to be built, that may be built. We'll get to that here in a second. You're going to get blamed for a lot of stuff. So maybe that's one of the reasons why no one wants to run. They don't want to be saddled with LP&L and ERCOT. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. I'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Let's see here. Chris weighed in. Chad is right on why people don't run. Many mistakes have been made by past council members who kicked the can down the road. No one wants to be in the hot seat when the chickens come home to roost. Well, yeah, maybe that's part of it. I also I think there are people who just don't want to be on the Lubbock City Council. They don't care. And you see this. You see this as cities get larger, where people who are either active in politics or thinking about running for office at some point, they start looking at the focus isn't on the Lubbock City Council. That's small potatoes. That's really small. Who cares? And that's how people become uninformed about who's running for certain races. And quite frankly, it's how you get a lot of liberals. You go from a city that wants to be conservative and, put, the needs before the wants. And then eventually just it flips. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of Lubbock City Council, it was interesting. Eddie McBride, president of the Chamber of Commerce, was on with Matt and Matt this morning. Dave King out today, but Matt Martin and Matt Crow were hosting KFYO Mornings. And Eddie McBride was on, and they got into the discussion about the auditorium and Coliseum. And what I thought was interesting about this conversation is, one, Chamber, they support tearing down the Auditorium Coliseum. And for some, you might go, now, wait a minute. Why would the Chamber be okay? It's pro-business. You want to bring business to Lubbock. Why would the Chamber be okay with getting rid of the Auditorium Coliseum, which, you would think that it would be bringing in business? And what they brought up was that there's, this discussion. And this discussion has been going on for at least a year, if not longer. That I have heard conversations taking place about a new, some call it an expo center, some call it an arena, a multi-purpose arena, whatever you're going to call it. An indoor facility. How about that? Well, let's call it an arena. Can we do that? Can we just call it, instead of an expo, an arena, basically? And what Eddie McBride was saying is that this is a discussion going on where it would be a private-public partnership, and there's, nothing's a done deal on this. But it would be a private-public partnership type of building. And that it's one of the reasons why it's time to move on from the Coliseum Auditorium, is that the Coliseum just can't handle the needs of a city like Lubbock, and we're missing out on livestock shows. You're missing out on equestrian shows because, the Coliseum was not, basically doesn't have the facilities for those type of shows. And I believe he put the figure at up to a $60 million arena that would be built somewhere in Lubbock if there's an agreement on who exactly is going to pay for it. And that's probably where the big hiccup is right now. Is who exactly is going to come in. And I've told you before, not a lot of arenas are built privately. Not a lot of stadiums are built privately. It just isn't done. Some of these billionaires who have sports teams, they've gone through and they've done either renovations on their own dime without taxpayer money, or they've built a stadium. I believe the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, no taxpayer money was spent to build Atlanta's new stadium. And that's a rarity. I mean, normally it's taxpayers are kicking in at least 50%. At least 50% of the cost. And so when you're looking at a obviously much smaller scale arena, you're looking at private-public partnerships, and you've had Karen Gibson who's mentioned that the county should get involved. So is this going to be a county, city, and then private entity that comes in? And is this really the motivation behind getting rid of the Auditorium Coliseum? Is that if we get rid of the Auditorium Coliseum, now we have the big excuse to go out and build a new arena. And if that is it, tell folks. Sell it. As I've said before, I don't trust the city to build an arena. I don't trust the city to maintain an arena. I want them out of the entertainment business altogether. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.